My Place Hotels is proud to be the official hotel partner of Frontstretch. With plush beds, in-room kitchens, and pet-friendly hotels, My Place makes for the perfect pit stop when traveling. Frontstretch fans can use promo code FRONTSTRETCH to save 10% on your stay at any of our nationwide properties. Sign up for our Stay Rewarded program to get even more savings. With My Place Hotels, don't just stay, stay rewarded.
From the agave fields of Jalisco, Billy's Tequila. Perfect in a margarita or straight over ice. Celebrate the race of life with Billy's. Use code RACER for 5% off at billystequila.com. Please enjoy responsibly.
It was just like any other night. Cold and wet, like the clash at Bowman Gray. I was already up to my knees in NASCAR lawsuits, and that's when he walked in just to give me one more. Oh, that's some strong Billy's tequila. Come in.
Hello, Detective John P.I.
Only my no-good mother calls me John. It's Detective P.I. to you. What do you want, Sugar Plum?
It's me, Coach Joe Gibbs. I gave you a ring earlier.
Oh, right. Now look, miss, I told you on the phone, if you want to whack the guy, I'm not your Studebaker.
No, I don't want you to whack him. Just follow him.
Follow who? Beat it, Toots. This town has too many problems already, and social media ain't even been invented yet, so I can't follow anyone on any platform. I already got too many cases anyways. Every day I get hundreds of fans calling me, asking me to look into how some Cletus McFarlane fella got approved for Rockingham.
Oh, please, mister, I just know my no-good competition director, Chris Gabehart, is two-timing me. I got to catch him.
I said beat it. Ain't enough minutes on my wristwatch to go poking around just because your former lovebird didn't want to tickle your fancy anymore. Plus, let's face it, I can tell by the looks of you, you ain't got enough Benjamins to slick Lee's hard-working palms anywho.
Listen, I got money. Money from the Monster Energy boys.
No, those good-for-nothing gangsters.
Their money's still good. Besides, don't you want to get Mrs. P.I. something nice this off-season?
Now listen, my wife left me after our boy died of polio, and I invested all my funds in stocks that day before Black Tuesday. And what off-season? You mean the one I spent on Charlotte courthouses?
Please, mister, remember all the good times we had in the courthouse back in December? Those cold Charlotte nights where we stayed warm just from the heat of your cigar? Mister, I don't have the Mr. Michael Jordan money, but I swear on my grandson's ability to show up to meetings, I'll make it worth your while.
All right. I'm listening to it.
Gabehart, you see, he meets the Spire Motorsports fella at the Barcelona burger joint down the road.
It's like a 2-minute walk for you. Why can't you just go there yourself?
I'm 85 years old, can't you tell? I can't walk all the way over there. Plus, you'll spot me coming before a bellhop can say, how do you do?
All right. I'll do it.
Oh, thank you, Mr. P.I. I feel like I won the Super Bowl.
I guess you would know. There I was, up to my chest in more NASCAR lawsuits and more Toyota team trouble. But hey, that money was good. I knew. Plus, well, who could say no to a coach like that?
Welcome on into another edition of the Frontstretch Happy Hour program. I can tell that, Michael, you took acting or classes, acting, whatever it was in college, because like you really put like the oomph into it, my friend. How are you, bud?
I'm doing good. Yeah, those plays I did in high school. I did acting class or two in college. Finally putting that money to use, the college degree, I guess. So there you go. Good to be here, though. Awesome to be joined
honestly
by.
Fair. Yes, I'm just about to introduce himself. We decided to switch it up a little bit just so we could have him on live. So we're on tonight, not tomorrow. So adjust your calendars correctly. But this guy, he's one of my fun guys whenever I go into the media center. Dalton, don't worry. I'm going to introduce you last. So don't worry. Okay, yeah, continue to drink, buddy. But you can find him on a PRN. And honestly, he's one of the legends, one of the alums of Frontstretch, Mr. Doug Turnbull. He had the pleasure of hosting this podcast 15 years ago. Did I read that right on your Twitter, my friend? First off, thanks for coming on. And 15 years ago, that was a little bit ago.
It was, man. It's an honor to be on with you guys. Thanks for moving it up. I lead a men's Bible study group every Tuesday night, and there are a lot of reasons to miss it, and I try not to. Okay, so I try to be the consistent one there showing up. So I appreciate it, which means I don't get to catch this live, on Tuesdays. But thanks for having me on. And yeah, 15 years ago, that's when they launched it too. You know, Tom, I think, had just taken over full ownership of the website back then, and I had stopped writing for it. I was going to write my own blogs, kind of do my own things, honestly, to have less deadline and thing like that. And then he's like, hey, man, we're launching this. Do you have radio experience? And I was a traffic reporter on radio in Atlanta for a long time. So and still report in Atlanta on TV. But he asked me to do it, and it was very rudimentary. There was certainly no video element, I'll tell you that. It was really just me. Usually I would interview one different columnist on Frontstretch every week and then drum up some driver interviews as they fell into our lap. And we had some pretty good ones. I had Dale Jr. one time. That was pretty cool.
Right on.
Which was set up outside of that, but I repurposed it for the podcast. And yeah, that was it, how it launched. But y'all are doing an incredible job. I certainly didn't do any costuming and acting. I was not a gumshoe. Okay, so that was pretty cool.
Listen, I wasn't either. That's why I leave it to the guy on my bottom right. So big thanks to Michael as well as Dalton for doing that. Usually we have Massey perform a song, but we decided to switch it up with our other co-host here above top left. Are you disappointed in Massey's performance, Dalton? You look a little distraught.
I guess I'm a little shy. I'm a little distraught at my New York shrill voice. How that was perceived. I was going for like a mix of like Harley Quinn versus like Susie from Ted, the new Ted show. Yeah, that was more, that came out of like a text that just kind of exploded into, oh my gosh, we should actually make this into something. So yeah.
Chris Graham, our producer, let's give him a shout out for that idea.
Yes,
we do love Chris. Chris is our guy. We appreciate it.
Shout out to Chris.
James
that was creative, man.
James says this was an Academy Award winning performance. One of our bosses, Mr. Trey Lyle, says he doesn't know that Joe Gibbs was from New York. Mr. New York, do you want to have a comment on that?
Listen,
that's you, Massey.
I come from a lot of different places, you see.
Fair. Honestly, fair. James says his Joe Gibbs sound like Edith Bunker. I would like to reply to that.
That's a good one.
I don't know how many people listening don't know who Edith Bunker is. That's
I'm gonna let me see. I'm Googling it. Hold on.
Hey,
stand by.
Rob Reiner was on that show. That's where he got big.
Oh,
that's
true.
True.
You know that. Okay, fair.
Oh,
fair.
All in the Family, one of the greatest shows of all time. Mm-hmm. You should. I don't know what platform you could watch it on now. You should totally watch All in the Family. The commentaries they were having on race and politics in midst of a super funny show over 50 years ago, you absolutely should watch it. They would never be able to make that show now.
Yeah.
It's kind of like The Office, where like you see so many, like you're like, oh, Like I'm re-listening to the How I Made Your Mother podcast, who made How I Met Your Mother. And
How I
like,
Made Your Mother. Wow.
No, that's the podcast name about
the
How
name,
I
okay.
Met Your Mother. Yeah.
Oh, okay, that
Yeah.
really is the name. That's awesome.
Yeah. And they're saying they're rewatching it episode by episode, and they're like, some of the stuff we said is just absolutely awful. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
that was 2008, 2009. So it's crazy.
Yeah, I think
see.
it debuted in like 04 or 05.
Yeah,
so,
I know.
it's
So
20
it's
years
crazy
ago. Yeah.
to see 20. Yeah. Doug, let's just transition over. Obviously, you host PRN. It's been a little bit of a, or you're part of the PRN coverage, I should say. It's been a little bit of a pretty big transition. A couple years ago, we had Doug Rice on. He was saying farewell. And I mean, just what has it been like the past few years, welcoming a new era?
Garrow too.
Yes, Mark Garrow
as
last
well.
year too.
Yeah. Well, now let's recap that part first. Is in back-to-back years is kind of a similar to the transition that MRM went through, where Barney Hall and Joe Moore stepped out of their roles, not in consecutive years, but very close to that. You know, they had a general churn of people kind of get promoted to TV over the years. Adam Alexander, Alan Bestwick, Mike Joy many years ago, but even more recently, Kim Kuhn and Dylan Welch, right? But on PRN, it wasn't so much that. I don't know. I guess we're not as good looking on PRN. I don't know what it is. No, I'm just kidding. But actually, Doug Rice and Mark Garrow over the years have had a lot of different TV roles, and Rob Albright and Pat Patterson as well. But Doug Rice is in his 70s and just said, "Hey, man, I don't need to be on the road anymore." He's still very involved in the sport, doing a lot of work on Sirius and hosting his weekly show, Fast Talk. So we feel like he's still there. But to have him step away was huge, because not only was he who he was on the air, but he's the one that discovered a lot of us, including me. I was 26 years old, and I know we'll maybe get into some of that in a second. So Doug Rice was the president of PR, and he was the head honcho. He's the one that reported directly to Marcus Smith, basically, right?
Oh, wow.
And so to have him step away really is like an administration change, even though he's still in the building and still around. Granted, I'm not in Charlotte, so I'm rarely in the building. Okay, I'm in Atlanta. But then to the next year to have Mark Garrow step away, and he'd been talking about kind of flirting with it for a few years, similar in age, not a huge surprise. Rob Albright, also in his 70s, who's a turn announcer since the late 1990s on PRN. So you had three dudes. Two of them date back to the 80s. One dates back to the 90s. That's just a lot of institutional knowledge to not have on your air anymore. And this 2026 is the first year that both Rob Albright and Doug and Mark Garrow are not on the broadcast. Garrow, of course, was in the booth with Doug for many years. I mean, over 30 years. And then Rob Albright was usually out in turns 1 and 2 for the better part of 30 years, 27, 28 years. So yeah, it was huge. And I got to say, I love all the tributes for Doug that happened in 2024. But to me, nothing tops, just because of how special it was to him, Rob Albright getting to do the invocation at the Bristol night race. And I think a couple of you guys were there. That I remember talking to some of y'all that weekend. And that was just a big deal because he lives in Virginia too. And it's right there, the doorstep of his house. So yeah, it's a big deal. And so to talk about the changing of the guard, there's several other people that in the next few years that's going to happen. And that's why Doug was so good at, and Brad Gilley, who took Doug Rice's place in the booth, has been good at trying to train up some new people. I'm sure you've seen Andrew Kurland, who cut his first like adult NASCAR teeth. Of course, he did stuff as a teenager in the garage, but at Dirty Mo Media. And he was, kind of finding himself plateauing there, and got a chance to come into a full-time role at PRM, was something we desperately needed, which was a digital media upgrade, right? Something to really be focused on that. So we saw Andrew Kurland join the team. We had a guy who at Atlanta named Jack Johnson, not the singer, but he's a AA Columbus Clingstones minor league baseball announcer in Southwest Georgia, and he joined the PRN team just for that one race. But that's developing talent for the days that when Pat Patterson and Brett McMillan and some of those guys, move on, or if other people get promoted. So just like at Frontstretch, where the management team, Tom and everybody, is trying to find the next young people to get in, it's the same at PRN. And I was fortunate to get that call in 2012, and thankfully have been able to hang on since then.
It is fun to see. Massey and I were in Vegas for we were there for the second to last one. Dalton, were you there with me with Doug Rice's final race?
That was Vegas.
Again?
Yeah,
Massey was at the first Vegas. Okay, so it was.
Yeah,
and
Doug's last race was Vegas at 24. Yeah.
And the tributes that we saw from everybody, it was really cool. And we'll tell a quick story. It was really cool. We interviewed Doug before the first Vegas race in 2024. And at the end, when we were saying goodbye, he's like, hey, why don't you come up to the booth if you're going to be there? I'm like, oh, okay. So I text him and he's like, hey man, yeah, I'll come. I'll come grab you. So he comes, grabs me, and he lets me just hang out with him the entire first stage. And it's crazy to see him and Mark at the time. Just do everything. They have all their notes and everything. It's really cool. I think my final question before I ask the two fellas, what goes on behind the scenes before a broadcast that people don't know?
That people don't know. Well, first off, you may be surprised by there's a lot of things that are really put together and orchestrated in many meetings on the TV side. And radio is just so different from TV. For one, we don't have to care about the visual element, but so it's really, we have a production meeting on Wednesdays and we have a production meeting usually on the morning of the race at the hotel. So that's tricky for me in Atlanta because I'm not staying in the hotel. So, and if I'm doing stuff at the track, it's tough for me to get to, but that's generally what it is. There's 2 production meetings, and some of that is story pitches where pit reporters will come up with stories they're going to talk about in the pre-race show. We'll learn about our assignments. If you're a pit reporter, which drivers you have to get either storyline wise or sponsor wise. In the turns, which was what I'm doing predominantly these days. I get, maybe 20% pits, 80% turns, and I have 7 races this year. In the turns, it's really for all the stories and the things you can commentate on, you're doing play-by-play. You're talking about whatever relevant battles are happening in front of you on your section of racetrack. So the preparation that comes in is really looking at the paint schemes, making sure you've got the drivers in the right cars, which is tough. PRN, and it's technically called the NASCAR radio network, right? Or the NASCAR racing network. Okay. For the trucks, but it's a PRN and MRN shared thing. And PRN hadn't done truck races. And so I watch the truck races all the time, but for some people that weren't as clued in on it, that took some learning, and also a third of that field turns over every single week, and about a quarter of the O'Reilly field turns over every week. So just knowing what drivers are in what vehicle, because as Doug Rice always said, we're in the transportation business. We're taking people from wherever they are in their car, on their boat, cutting their grass, out shopping, whatever, to the racetrack. So you really better dang sure get it right. There isn't a ticker or something to clean up your mistake if you put Garrett Smithley in the wrong O'Reilly car or whatever it is. So that's I think that's it. And then behind the scenes too, there is a small full-time staff at PRN that not only is doing sales and marketing and logistics. Alexis Erickson is making sure we get our hotels and things like that. But then on the production side, David Stiles and Andrew Curlin doing a weekly, make that a daily show called Garage Pass. And then there's the weekly studio show Fast Talk that Doug Rice co-hosts. And then also Kent Bernhardt, who's our head of production, who is putting together features that we played. And again, not as many as the TV broadcast has, but at least 1 to 2 features every Cup broadcast, and the different imaging and production work that you hear. All of that has to get done by somebody. It doesn't just appear out of nowhere. And that's a full-time job, even though we have only half the schedule. Or so.
Yeah. So you mentioned doing the turns, and 2 things where I would struggle with if I were to do the turn-by-turn announcing. One is, back in the 90s, it'd be easy to tell you who every car is because they had the same paint scheme every week. This, now people have a different paint scheme every week. You look and there's 5 cars that look the exact same. So how are you able to decipher that in the moment? And then also the other thing, I think of when NBC did the radio style broadcast with Dale Jr. and Dale Jr. was just screaming into the microphone. Those cars are blasting by you. How are you not just screaming?
I think in Atlanta I am, because it's first off, every time they go by you, something's happening in Atlanta.
True.
And they're all together. Whereas at Coda the next week, it gets strung out. So you're not like, you're not, I was giving myself a headache. And I felt bad. I'm like, God, can I please not do this without screaming? But you actually had, these Gen 7 cars were year 5 of them. And the first thing, I went to the first test they had at Echo Park Speedway with those. And I was like, holy cow, that's loud. And I heard other people say that from I think the Phoenix and Vegas test, whatever the preliminary tests were in late 21, early 22. And we go there in January, February 22 or whatever it was. And I'm like, okay, this is a new ball game. So you put 38 of them or however many together, and it's super loud when they're at speed and in a pack at Atlanta. But how do you not? So the yelling part, I mean, I think it's okay to it. It sounds okay. And I even asked our race director, Laura Beth Barnhart, who you got to meet up there in the booth.
I did meet Laura. She's really nice.
She's fantastic. She is the tendons, the glue, whatever. She and Harold Hamrick, our chief engineer, that hold it all together. But I'm like, hey, I feel like I'm screaming every time. Like, is it okay? She's like, no, it's great radio. It was like, okay, just making sure. I think when the moment calls for it, do it. You don't want to oversell stuff, but if it's loud, it's loud. You got to yell. I mean, who cares, right? As long as they can understand what you're saying. And that's, I guess, part of the art of it too, that I think I'm still learning. As far as the paint schemes, yeah, that's tough. I will say, if you've got a battle for third and the people before you in the running order, which, as I'm sure you could gather in listening, the booth switches off each lap, every other lap, the other person in the booth. And I haven't said his name yet. I meant to earlier. Nick Yeoman is who took Margero's place in the booth with Brad Gilley, who replaced Doug Rice. And Nick Yeoman had his big Atlanta debut up there in the booth. When they're calling a battle for third, if it's still there, well, they've just said that it's Sammy Smith versus Sheldon Creed. So even if their cars are painted similarly, okay, he's inside, they're outside, whichever. And then, if it's Coda, where they come up the hill, Andrew Curlin made his debut in the turns at Coda. They're coming up that huge hill at turn one. They make the big, left-hand turn. They're coming down the hill and coming out of turn two. They're driving straight towards you in the S's, which is where I was parked. And the sun is washing them out completely. So I don't even think that if I had binoculars, which I should, and I think a better turn announcer would probably be using them. But to me, it throws me off. Like, I'm like goggles or the binoculars on, and then you take them off, and then your depth perception's in a different place, I guess. But they're washed out completely when the sun, like most of that race. So when he says, and Tyler Reddick emerges with the lead, all right, we're rolling with that until they can get to the S's and I can figure it out. So that's part of it too. But we don't have. It's just a smaller staff, And you think about when you see Jamie Little or whoever on pit road. Well, she's got Heather DeBow, who's sometimes a pit reporter for us, as a pit spotter, or Marty Snyder. Myatt Snyder, who got called into the race car in the 48. They have somebody that's helping listen to the scanner audio and go through all this stuff. And really, our pit reporters are our pit reporters. Our turn announcers, there's nobody yelling unless you get a spin out and you can't see who it is and they're yelling in my ear. It's the 9. It's the 9. That was a real one. I couldn't see Chase one time. You don't have a separate. It's just not the same. So there are a lot less tools. And honestly, I grew up in 20 plus years in radio. I love that about radio. you're just jumping in.
You said that you're doing turn and pit reporting this year. Which one is there? One that you prefer over the other?
Truthfully, the turn announcers get more airtime, and it's exciting, and you're calling these warriors while they joust. So I have to prefer that. And multiple people on the PRN team have asked me that too. But I'll say this: I wouldn't want one without the other. I would love to pit report at least one race every year, because pit reporters are doing what's very similar, similar to my traffic reporting job, where you're listening to radios, in my case, listening to police scanners in my day job. You're hearing these details. You're trying to sell the producer on stories of what's important, and hey, I need to tell this story, about Joey Logano. And then you get to interview all the drivers before the race, and do these little quick hit interviews. And I mean, granted, it's kind of a car wash and it's not very memorable for them, and it may not even be that memorable for you, but you're down in the middle of it. When you go out to the turns, and we go out to the turns almost 2 hours before the green flag. 30 minutes before pre-race, and pre-race is an hour to an hour and a half before the green flag, and you are just in a glass case of emotion. You're just out there. I'm standing on the scissor lift, 30-mile-an-hour winds in Atlanta by myself with the campers or whatever. I get to talk to the campers, I guess. That's it. You don't have anyone. So but that's the one. That's what puts you on the air, gets you in the highlight reels. You hear yourself are radioactive and in the commercials and all that. And the pit stops, frankly, you don't, right? You very rarely hear a pit stop called unless there's a huge problem in the highlight reel. So I would love to have both. And I've gotten to do the booth a few times for some O'Reilly races, and that's a lot of fun too.
I lied, Doug. Actually, I have one more question for you. Hottest race you've ever broadcasted, coldest broadcast you've ever called.
Okay. So remember when the Atlanta race, before they brought it back to Darlington, and everybody agrees that the Labor Day race needs to be in Darlington, but Atlanta was Labor Day weekend for 6 or 7 years, something like that. And man, there was one, I think it was like 2014 or so. I think that was the last one. And it's just hotter than Hades out there. They had a cooling room set up somewhere on the campus for people in the grandstands that were keeling out, that kind of thing. But it's honestly, I think it's easier to stay cool. You could go, you're on pit road. If you're a pit reporter and you brought in and you've got all the water from the teams and stuff, you can stand in the shade down there and get under a pit box or something. So that's I don't remember cooking so much of the turns. Really, just can get sunburned. But coldest, these March and February races in Atlanta are tough, and I'm sure they've been worse than that. But honestly, when the sun went down this past just 2 weeks ago at Echo Park Speedway, and I was standing on the scissor lift with the wind still howling at 30 miles an hour. And I didn't lower it to go pee one time, like in the stage breaks or anything. And so listen to this. So the scissor lift didn't start when the race was over. I couldn't start it to lower it. And so I'm up there and I've raised this thing really high because I want to see the third lane on the top of turn 2. And I've raised it really high. Our engineer, Bill Parrott, one of the engineers, standing there going, "Why aren't you coming down, man? Like, is he just enjoy this?" No. I actually had a 2:30 a.m. wake-up call for work the next morning at 11 Alive on my traffic job, and I couldn't get the scissor lift started. I'm like, I wasn't freaking out, like scared, but I'm like, I am cold. I've got to pee, and I should be in bed right now. So that makes it colder.
I think I'd be just letting it fly off the.
Hey, I know a story about a turn announcer, and they're not on the PRN team. They're in the shirts of blue. But I know a story about a turn announcer that had to stand on a billboard and call a race, and he just decided to pee off the side of the billboard, and he peed on a NASCAR official.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that's a
Trip to the hall.
That's a good way to throw a yellow.
Oh boy!
Yellow on the racetrack.
Yeah.
Yellow on the shirt.
Wow!
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, top that.
Yeah. Wow. Dalton, I'm kind of speechless right now. You go, buddy. Wow.
Yeah, I was actually gonna ask if, geez, how do you follow that up?
Right.
Look, I was just
Thank
gonna
you.
ask, like, there's so many people out there that would love to do, like, I feel like they would love to get into broadcasting, would love to get into radio communication. Do you have any advice for somebody that wants to be a turn by turn announcer or pit road reporter?
Well, there is. Let's face it. My whole career, there's an element of luck and someone just meeting you at the right time and believing in you. And I'm very much a person of faith. I really think that God opened doors and put things in my spot. It wasn't because I wasn't some prodigal. So when I was 18 years old, I met the guy 3 days after I graduated high school here in Atlanta that changed my life, Captain Herb Emery. Captain Herb Emery is the reason I got to meet Mark Garrow and Doug Rice, because they would make appearances on our little weekly racing show. Captain Herb made me a traffic reporter when I was 18 years old. I had no idea what I was doing. He just saw something to me. We started talking about racing. Hey, you want to come hang out at the radio station? Okay. Suddenly I'm an intern and I have no idea. Like, I just had no clue. So all of those things happened in a row. And in a period of just a few years, I'm meeting Mark Garrow and Doug Rice. Oh my God, I got Mark Garrow's phone number in my phone. And I was looking for any opportunity to have receipts. Okay. So, and I wanted to be sure and say this on this particular show, right, on Happy Hour here. Front stretch. So Front Stretch is not the direct reason that it happened for me. Then and I don't get to do it as much as I want. I'm still wondering how in the world do you get to TV? How do you get to where you can make a living off of it? Do it every single week? I don't. There's only so many of those jobs. Front Stretch, though, when I was late in college, I reached out to them. Hey, can I? I've seen some of your articles. Can I write for you guys? And Tom Bowles and the crew, they let me start writing. And because I wrote for Front Stretch, I had receipts that I didn't have even doing that racing show on the radio, on WSB radio here in Atlanta, where, it was maybe a big old station, right? There's something about having those receipts and writing for it gave me a place to learn how to develop an opinion and have people check in on it, engage with people. And then that led to social media following a little bit. But what I would do with these articles on Frontstretch, again, writing for free, just to have a place I could do it. No one was going to pay me to do it. So I have a place to do it as a 22-year-old. I made a mailing list of people, an emailing list that included at one point Steve Burns, because the first thing I got assigned to on Frontstretch was for some, and I mean, I laugh about it. I'm like, I should not have been writing this. Okay. What was the column? I don't know if Phil Alloway still does it, but the TV critique column, like,
he's alive and well at every
I haven't read it in a long time.
Still do it.
Okay, and so he took over after I did. I remember he filled in one time for me when I was a vacation. So they just assigned this to me, and I was tearing apart the show inside Nextel Cup, throwing word grenades at this show. And Steve Burns saw the column and read it and reached out and gave me his number. And we talked and met at the racetrack and all this stuff. And so what I did is I started accumulating these contacts the same way you guys do, and probably do a way better job than I did when I was, at Frontstretch. You accumulate these things. And I would actually send an email list of my latest work out to people that included Doug and Mark. And that just kept me, and I always said hi to Doug and Mark at the racetrack, and it just kind of kept me in their lexicon, so to speak. So when Steve Richards, rest his soul, when he got sick at Atlanta in 2012, leading up to that race, I get a call on a Tuesday. Hey man, you want to give it a shot? This is Doug Rice. You want to give it a shot? And I'm like, yeah, I guess. I didn't earn it. I didn't deserve it. I'd done a lot of radio. I knew how to broadcast. It was just a matter of doing it this way. And it was so lucky that it was parallel to my traffic reporting job. So anybody that's listening wants to do it, even if you make a podcast where you're your only listener and you're the host, just the world is flat. The technology allows you to do it so easily between writing and talking. Do it all, and it'll make you better for when that time comes.
So the moral is go trash one of the big shows.
Yeah. Hey, can I tell you, here's how cocky I was. Okay. This is crazy. All right. And honestly, I don't regret doing this, but I was also really just crapping all over ESPN's coverage. They were brand, that was their second year back in NASCAR. And two of their PR people reached out to me to come meet him at the track. Oh boy, they took me around the TV compound, and it was to let's set this youngin' straight. That's what it was all about. Yeah. And one of the first, I can't even believe I'm just whatever statute of limitations. I literally said, "Hey man, I'll happily stop writing about it. Give me a job."
Damn!
How ethical is that? I mean, how ethical is that? That is horrible, right? Why would I say that? But I wanted a break, man. Let me come start hanging out. If you let me do this, I can show you I could do it. And I mean, I believed it then, and I believe it now. But I never would say that now. But but those opportunities with Frontstretch, crazy as that is, and I mean, I'm wearing it to say guilty, not because I'm proud. I'm guilty, not proud. But those opportunities, you never know who's going to read what and do what. And now kind of what replaces the blog idea of that, because I was very 2008, 9, 10 is what you're doing, with video content, I think. And I'm not very good at that. So I'm glad my time came when it did, I guess.
That's crazy. How many races is PRN? We got 7 races, or do you guys got more this year?
No, so I'm not on really the everyday team is mainly the booth people and a couple of pit reporters. Okay. You're going to hear Andrew Kurland each week because he's a full-time employee there. And of course, some of the people behind the scenes that are there each week. So PRN has 14 race weekends, and I'm on 7 of them. And I may not be on any more after that story about ESPN I just said, but it's just playing.
Fair. But I do know that you're going to be on this upcoming weekend, correct?
I'm not. No, my next one is Bristol. So I've never done Vegas with PRN. I've been to Vegas, but not actually been. Gotcha. On the air.
Well, you definitely can listen to PRN's coverage. And I think luckily for you, it is going to be very hot. So you're not going to have to breathe 92 and 91 degree air in Vegas upcoming. But let's transition now into our second topic. Michael, do you want to dive on into what we saw this past weekend?
Yeah, we saw a doubleheader at Phoenix that I thought was really, really good. It was wild. Like when the IndyCar race happened, I was like, man, they got some, the bar is high for NASCAR now. But then there was a good cup race after that. as well. And O'Reilly was probably maybe the least entertaining of the three, but usually that's the best series on the planet, I'd say. But yeah, what were you guys' thoughts on the doubleheader, and how is this how can we build off this? Does it elevate both platforms? Because I know there was like Pato Award he was a little salty about it. He's basically the NASCAR was the main event. But I don't know. Doug, we can start with you. What are your thoughts on the whole doubleheader?
I'm glad that they broke down the curtain and did it. I like the TV network forging situations like this versus Bristol Dirt. Okay. And I wasn't as anti-Bristol Dirt as most people, but I mean, this to me is way better. Let's get two elite sports and put them together. And I don't know. I mean, I don't see any reason to be against it. One thing I heard, and I wasn't there, of course, but one thing I heard Jeff Gluck say that was interesting that they could clean up is the credentialing. You had to be credentialed separately for IndyCar.
Don't even get me started.
Okay, yeah. So one of y'all can speak to that. But it seems like they could clean that up. But I didn't feel, to me, I thought Saturday was the better bill. Like I was actually, if I'm IndyCar, I would much rather race at 3 Eastern. And maybe he felt like that because it was so early in the day. It was 1 Mountain Time, I guess, or I don't know. Arizona's weird on the time change stuff, but okay, early in the afternoon Saturday, you don't feel like you're the big show, but to me, like, man, I'm already done my weekend, dude. That's pretty awesome. So I don't know. I thought it was great, and the racing action was great. IndyCar put on a way better physical show on the track than I expected. Christian Rasmussen getting hunted down, and then cashing his car in a couple of times, and then Newgarden coming up to pass. What was it, Kyle Kirkwood? That was great. Yep. So, and the O'Reilly race, at least they had a battle at the end. The Cup race had a lot of attrition and a lot of back and forth. So, thumbs up for me.
I feel like Pato Award wants to. I think he actually tweeted like, "I changed my mind" or something like that.
He came
out. Yeah, he said something.
Put a laughing emoji after, so I wasn't sure if it was sarcastic or not. I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Look, I mean, everybody's going to have some kind of opinion, and not everybody's going to think it's the greatest thing ever. But like, we had a doubleheader the week before too, like in St. Pete. So I'm pretty sure.
Flex.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they were the main event for that one. Definitely.
100%.
A rising tide. What's the phrase? A rising tide raises all ships.
Lifts
a rising tide.
Ships.
Yeah, right. Whatever raises all sea life. Yeah, it's look, it's a big it's a big deal for American motorsports as a whole. I think because like, look, motorsports as a whole, you have to admit, I don't think you could say it's that big as it used to be. Perhaps. I mean, I think it might be on the same level, but maybe a little bit lower. But like, there's no doubt in my mind that there is a much bigger competition going on with F1, especially when it comes to American motorsport. And I can't help but think, especially with this, especially with this god-awful TV deal that they signed, F1 going to Apple TV. Like Brian, Massey, you guys were in the same chat. I did not. I don't pay too much attention to F1, especially their broadcasting rights. So this past weekend is when I actually first learned that it wasn't even going to be on ESPN. It was just going to be on exclusively on Apple TV
with a different booth, by the way.
Yeah,
really?
With yeah.
I didn't know that.
What? And then I went to go, and I'm like, okay, well, how much would it be? It was $12.99 a month. Yeah, I'm like, my guy, you're not NFL. I'm sorry. Like it's I'm not paying that much to watch F1. I mean, and I like to consider myself. I kind of like to consider myself an F1 fan. I like F1. I mean, I think it's fun. I'm a motorsports fan as a whole. But with that said,
are you really an F1 fan if you didn't realize that they moved to Apple TV?
That's a good question. Am I a fan anymore?
that was a big story last year.
Yeah,
big story.
Yeah. So the thing is we just upload, or we just got some really good races out of IndyCar, a really good race out of the Cup Series. I thought the O'Reilly race I agree with Massey. O'Reilly race was pretty decent too, but it was a doubleheader weekend. And amplified both series, which is what they both need. And we were working together, and at the other side of the world, F1 is basically being watched by, I don't know what the ratings are, but
you won't know. Apple doesn't normally release those.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it's that great. I can't imagine it's going to be as good as what it was on ESPN. So definitely, I felt like that was a big win for American motorsports as a whole, and I feel like we should definitely have more doubleheader weekends, for sure.
Yeah.
Jamie says Homestead. Jamie says Homestead and then Pocono would be great for Indy/Cup doubleheader. Now, I was there, and I think one word was successful. I mean, besides credentialing, I mean, I have my NASCAR credential, which I was told that would be for the both series. I go to pit road, you have to have a sticker. So then you go to the front desk, they're like, okay, we'll text you. You wait like 30 minutes for a sticker, and half of IndyCar qualifying is all done. You're like, what are we doing here? So that obviously could be better, but the racing aspect, I mean, you had Joey Logano in the Fox booth, did a phenomenal job. You had Townsend and Hinch in the Fox booth on Sunday, did a great job. And the racing was great. You had Newgarden battling out with fresh tires. Rasmussen and Power got into it. And then on Sunday, like Doug said, it was a little bit of an attrition race, but I do think in the end, the right driver, the fastest car won, Ryan Blaney. Bell was a close second, but I do think the fastest driver won. So I would love to see it again. I think I said it in our post-race conversation video with Danny Peters. This feels of them returning the doubleheader next year. It's like Josh Berry getting to the 4 car or the 21 car. We all knew it was going to happen. We just couldn't reveal it. We couldn't announce it. So I think it will be back. But I mean, what an awesome display. And I was saying the fans on Saturday, they came out. I mean, it was packed, and they stayed for the I almost said Xfinity, but the O'Reilly race. They stayed. So I mean, they got 2 races in one. What more could you want, right?
Yeah. Next doubleheader, I think you know what I'm going to say. Richmond, we got to do it.
Yeah.
Richmond.
Yeah.
Because if it was good at Phoenix, I think IndyCar would also be good at Richmond with this package.
Hey, but just because something's good a little bit doesn't mean that too much is that much better. All right. If we did this 7 times a year, we would be over it. Okay. So
once a year.
Yeah. Hey, I know we're trying to transition but being in person, Brian, did it make NASCAR look bad at all that IndyCar was, 40 miles per hour faster and 4 to 5 seconds a lot better? Or Dalton in St. Petersburg, I think their lap was 17 seconds faster. Does that matter?
I don't.
2 things
I don't
about
think
that.
so, personally,
there was 2 massive differences. It was way faster, and they are way quieter. Those NASCAR are so much louder. I've
never seen them in person.
Loud. Oh, IndyCars, you should wear headphones, but if you're not wearing headphones, you're not going to get a headache. NASCAR's, if you don't wear headphones, you're going to be having a migraine at the end of the day. They go so fast, but they're not as loud as the stock cars, Dalton.
I think, the IndyCars were definitely faster for sure, but in St. Pete, okay, I will say they have the media center right next to one of the long straightaways. When the IndyCars go by, you can hear it. You can tell they're definitely IndyCars. You can tell they're V6s, but when the trucks went by, I mean, I was standing next to one of where the fans stand, and my eardrums were actually shaking. I could feel them.
Mm-hmm.
I could feel them being tickling inside. It was so loud, and I was like, okay, so that's how there's the big difference there.
Boom! There goes Frankie Muniz. Bam.
Yeah, there goes Malcolm in the middle going by, and then it's
the thing I think is just that if you're standing there next to the fence or something, that 40 mile per hour, either way, it's gonna feel fast.
Yeah,
it's still gonna be boom,
mm-hmm.
that. I mean, I wasn't there, but I'm sure it probably felt similar if you're sitting there in the grandstands.
I think if the racing is good, it really just, if you're a fan of the track, as long as the racing's good, I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, that car's 10 miles an hour off the corner faster than the other car. This car's whatever. It is what it is. I will say we need to transition. I will say just one last thing. If they want to put James Hinchcliffe or Townsend Bell in a Cup Series booth every once in a while, I'm okay with that. Because those guys are so good. I'd much rather would love our friend Doug Turnbull in the booth too, but hey,
I'm not getting voted over Hinch. Okay. I
Cam's
appreciate
just like the type of guy you would want to hear call a race and then go get a beer with. Like he's that type of guy. Like he is. I mean, he's like the just like the chill guy. So let's move on though. Once again, this is the Happy Hour show with our guest from PRM, Mr. Doug Turnbull. This is presented by Billy's Tequila. Remember, save 5%. Use code Frontstretch at checkout for 10% off. Remember to like and subscribe as well to us. 10% off.
Writing that
use
down.
Code Frontstretch. Yes. Okay. I love it. I love it. Unfortunately, our last topic of the night talks. Yep. What did I tell you? 160 pages of court documents. No, I did not print it. I printed like 5 pages out of court documents. Once again, the JGR versus Spire saga has continued. Dalton, Massey, do you want to dive into this? Which one wants to lead us off?
Don't take it away,
Mr.
Dalton.
PI, why don't you tell us about it? Why don't you tell us about it?
Well, look here, y'all.
I'm so distraught.
Take it away, Dalton. It's all yours.
I was gonna say, like, I mean, like when I first saw it, I was when I first saw the story, I was pretty busy with work. It didn't really set in that we're dealing with something a lot more serious than I feel like a lot of people were expecting. But the whole PI thing, the private investigator being hired to follow Chris Gabehart. Like, we were already talking about espionage, but this takes it to a whole new level. This is something, I mean, this is like something out of a movie. It's pretty crazy. So this is getting much more personal week by week. It kind of reminds me, it might even, I don't know if it's as spicy as the last year's case with the 2311 and NASCAR, but regardless, it's another lawsuit story. I don't know, man. Like it's very personal. It's very raw. It's very interesting. And it's also like, in a way, it's almost kind of funny. Like, you know, like the like I said, like the whole PI thing, that's what brought up the whole skit that we did at the beginning of the show. So, I just I don't know how this is going to end, dude. This is some bonker stuff. Doug, what do you think?
Well, it's a shame to see somebody who is so well thought of. Well, honestly, 2 entities that are so well thought of, slinging mud, and much similar to the case, the antitrust suit a couple months ago. Here, I don't know what to think and who's going to end up being right or wrong. It seems like the court's been a little bit more favorable to Gabehart, and I'm not actually reading the documents and then reporting on it like some of you are, and like, you know, a lot of our beat reporters are and stuff, but just in what I've read, and I've tried to stay read up on it, for it to get so ugly like this, to me, it's only going to mean one thing: is these contracts and what people are allowed to do going team to team are about to radically change. If it was not last year, it was the year before, with Joe Gibbs Racing also sued another former employee who has gone to another team, a little bit less of a headline, but a name like Gabehart just disappearing out of nowhere. You knew something bad had happened. And it's going to change things a lot. In F1, they have what's called gardening leave, right? I think that here you're not going to be able to go November one day, Joe Gibbs, you know, and the next day at Spire. So that's the only thing I know. I have no idea it's going to turn out, but some of this makes both sides look rough.
Yeah, in the preliminary injunction, they want really fast, Massey. They want in the preliminary injunction, JGR wants Gabehart to be on the sideline for a full year. They don't want him working for a full year. So I don't know if everything is going to be like that now. Like if you go from one team, basically like the old NCAA rules, like, okay, if you transfer, you're going to be sitting out a year. I mean, I don't know, but also one thing, barefoot private investigators witnessed Chris Gabehart drive his vehicle to the Spire Motorsports facility at 11:54 a.m. And then they had lunch at 12:02, and then they went to the Spire Motorsports facility at 2 p.m. I mean, they are literally going as like detail as they can. That is how in depth that JGR wants to find dirt on this guy, Massey.
Yeah, I keep waiting for it, and then went to the Red Roof Inn. Okay, you know, like I keep waiting for like the only time you hear about this stuff is when it's that kind of thing, right? So it sounds that's what makes it seem even seedier than it really is, because it's like you're looking on them without them knowing. It's weird.
You talk about the detail. Apparently, they're detailing what their footwear is too. You said the private investigator's barefoot as well. Sorry, I had to. Dalton made me do it.
Go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
The thing that has the thing that kind of came to light recently is through the documents is that part of it is like them trying to get Monster and what's the other sponsor?
SAIA.
And then Zepp as well was one of them. The Zepp cleaning products, which I most recently saw with Front Row, so I don't even know about the Gibbs affiliation there.
Yeah. So they're trying to get those as well, which we've known for some time about pay-to-play drivers. I didn't know we had pay-to-play competition directors as well. You got to bring sponsors with them. So that's another thing where it's just that's going to make it so much shadier. Like we've always seen sponsors go team to team, right? But is that going to be something that's like the new contracts should be like, I don't know, you can't go wherever. I don't know.
Unless you bring one of your sponsors with you.
But see, I don't think, look, that has always happened. I mean, I've heard teams complain about they cultivate a sponsor, then NASCAR swoops in and takes them and makes that sponsor the official blank of blank, right? That's always going to happen. Here's the one thing I don't care how many court orders or whatever. Chris Gabehart is on the payroll of Spire Motorsports. And Chris Gabehart's brain is still inside of Chris Gabehart. And the people that he's met over the years, you can't unring that bell. So that's why they hired him. It wasn't because he had a G Drive folder that said this and the setup. It's because they hired Chris Gabehart because we all would agree he's one of the name brand crew chiefs / competition minds in that NASCAR garage up there with Adam Stevens and Canals and Wolf and Clint Daniels and all those guys. That's why you hired him. And that's why I almost think you didn't even need to do all that stuff. One thing that I want to say Denny Hamlin said on Actions Detrimental, I know he was careful about what he said about this, at least when it first came out, was that, look, or no, maybe it was said on Door Bumper Clear. I can't remember, but one of the main podcasters said, because Denny Hamlin's only a podcaster. Okay. One of them said is, hey, don't ignore the fact that it was not only going between organizations, but it was going manufacturer to manufacturer. And that Toyota in particular is very particular about that kind of thing. So I think that's why we have so much fire being thrown here.
I think and that's a great point because Spire Motorsports, I mean, we know is partnered up with Hendrick Motorsports as well. Ding. So, there's probably going to be some information sharing there.
Yeah. It's it's inevitable that best practices will be shared.
This whole thing just makes me wonder about like future paranoia, not only with Chris Gabehart, but with anybody, any personnel on any team, trying to go over to a different team or talking to another team about any other role, like a crew chief or something, going to a different role on a different race team. Like, do they have to watch their backs now? Like, because how paranoid is this going to make Chris Gabehart? How paranoid is this going to make other people trying to move in the future? I mean, I don't want to go and talk to somebody in a business meeting or talk to somebody, meet out for lunch on a different race team, and then have to like almost stand outside and like scan the perimeter or something like that just to make sure I'm not being followed. So I don't know. I wonder. You mentioned it earlier, Doug. This is going to change how contracts are written too.
It's inevitable.
This isn't going to be just a one-time thing like the lawsuit from last year. This is something that's going to change the way that personnel are hired on race teams.
And think about, it's one thing if you're Gibbs and you don't want somebody going to Hendrick, but what if you're a Gibbs engineer and you never get your number pulled to become a crew chief, and you really want to become a crew chief, and you want to step down a team? We see it happen all the time. Step down to Legacy Motor Club. Okay, that's another Toyota. You want to step down, and I'm sorry, it is down to Spire or Front Row or somewhere where they're going to make you the head dog. Blake Harris went, down and then up again to become a crew chief, right? Mm-hmm. It's going to be like, okay, oh, wow, you can't go work for Thor Sport in the truck series because, and I'm not dogging on them. And also, if you're in the Cup Series where you're the smallest team or the biggest team, if you're all going to start writing your contracts the same, it also means, gosh, man, I'm stuck. And no offense, I'm stuck here at Front Row Motorsports. I'm Drew Blickensturfer. I can't go to Stewart Haas Racing a few years ago. Oh, I'm this mechanic. Like, it's all about movement. And, you know, I mean, there's good and bad to all of this, but there's no doubt it's going to change. And as the co-host of the podcast that I get to work on each week, 5 to Go, Dan Elliott, Bill Elliott's older brother, says he's called NASCAR N1, like F1, for a long time. And it's more and more sophisticated, and that's not always a bad thing, but the more and more sophisticated, the more money becomes, the more it looks like F1 and how everything is like super official all the time. And it kind of sometimes can drain the fun out of it. We've seen that develop over the years. So I hope that's not the case here.
Yeah, because that's one thing. And if it does go the distance in court, that could be a good thing long term, because like Jordan Bianchi was noting that in that day of trial that he went to, that the lawyers are asking him stuff like, it was like the 2311 case where, well, you know, Chris Gabehart could go be competition director for NHRA or IndyCar.
Oh, yeah.
like, no, he can't. Like, this is his sport. He has to. You're gonna tell the guy he can't work otherwise. If you're gonna,
yet their defense is he's the chief motorsports officer of all of their racing operations, you know, except for F1. They didn't mention F1 was part of that, but you know, and that includes late models and all. So yeah, it's sort of a circular argument.
Well, Doug, thank you so much for coming on, my friend. Once again, let our viewers know what races you'll be at and when we'll hear you on, and then promote whatever you're going to be doing.
Yeah, next race for me with PRN is Bristol, and then got North Wilkesboro, Atlanta, Sonoma, and Charlotte coming up after that. So be sure to check out my team. You know, goprn.com is the easiest way to listen to it. And I host the 5 to Go, or co-host 5 to Go podcast each week on YouTube and all the podcasting places. So check that out. That's also on goprn.com.
I love it. Doug, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll have you on a little bit, probably before the playoffs start. How does that sound?
Please do.
I love it. Once again, that is Doug Turnbull for PRN. Once again, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be pouring one out.
My Place Hotels is proud to be the official hotel partner of Frontstretch. With plush beds, in-room kitchens, and pet-friendly hotels, My Place makes for the perfect pit stop when traveling. Frontstretch fans can use promo code FRONTSTRETCH to save 10% on your stay at any of our nationwide properties. Sign up for our Stay Rewarded program to get even more savings. With My Place Hotels, don't just stay, stay rewarded.
From the agave fields of Jalisco, Billy's Tequila. Perfect in a margarita. Or straight over ice. Celebrate the race of life with Billy's. Use code RACER for 5% off at billystequila.com. Please enjoy responsibly.
Well, you know what? I lied. I'm a liar on this show. We actually got Doug back. Doug is going to be back.
Man, is it already the playoffs? Dang.
Yeah.
I know.
It was a long wait, but we got Doug back, everybody.
We did. We did. He's gonna hang out with us for our latest edition of Pouring One Out. Mr. Michael Massey, once again, this is presented by Billy's Tequila. Save 10% off when you use the code FRONTSTRETCH. Once again, 10% off when you use the code FRONTSTRETCH. Michael Massey, as you are pouring, what are you going to be pouring one out for?
We're going to be pouring one out for the F1's run in the United States, because it is now over.
Oh no.
We finally don't have to hear anymore about, they're gonna overtake NASCAR and as the biggest American motorsport. No, those days are over, because they alienated half the population who doesn't have.
Is Michael Finley watching?
Yeah, he's probably raging at his computer right now. But pour one out for F1, and here's the NASCAR and IndyCar. You got an opening ahead of you to go get those fans.
Does that not come full circle? Okay.
Dalton, do you want to go after that, or do you want Doug to go?
I'll go real fast, because I just want to say, it's time for NASCAR and IndyCar to go on the offensive. Let's have a doubleheader at Silverstone next year.
Okay, calm it down.
That's
Back
time.
it down.
Actually, no. We need a street race. Let's do it on the streets of Monaco. Let's just go ahead and do that.
Oh no! Don't do that. Don't do that.
No, but
We have a
in all,
car in that bay there.
I don't think they could make the Lowe's corner or whatever it is. I don't think they could make that turn. But yeah, no, there was some good. As always, I'm going to go for one of the underdog finishes this past weekend, and we had friend of the show. I like calling out guys that have been on the show, and we had one that was recently on. Get a top 10 in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. I'm talking about our boy Anthony Alfredo. He has had a great last couple of weeks. Well, this weekend was good. Got a top 10 in the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. Got his shot in the Hendrick Motorsports car in the 48. Didn't go all that well, but look, I digress. The fact that they considered him and they put him in the car is a big deal. And let's face it, the guy needs it after what happened at Daytona. So pour one out for Anthony Alfredo. Super happy for that guy. It's about time something actually went his way. And hey, it's only race number 4 of the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series. He's already got a top 10. I expect big things from Viking Motorsports for the rest of the season.
He qualified top 10 too, by the way.
Yes, he did. That's right. Yeah. That's true.
I'm expecting really big things from Viking Motorsports. Doug, what are you going to be pouring one out on?
Oh man, well, I've got my club soda right here, so I didn't get any didn't pour any Billies here. I'll have to figure that out for next time. Hey, I'll pour one out just to bring it full circle. Pouring out for Tom Bowles, man. A long time ago, let me start hanging out with this front stretch crew, and it's not the main reason that I'm doing what I'm doing now, but I don't think it would have happened at the time that it did without having the receipts of getting to write for this site for 4 years. Was it the 3 years? I guess it was 3 or 4 years I wrote, and then doing the podcast after that. So cheers to that, and everybody that's been around there a long time, and you all that are the later generation that's come and kept it going and helped it grow.
I'm going to be pouring one out for a guy that finished 11th, but it really did not really compart the entire story. Jeremy Clements ran top 5 all race long, and obviously you had the late race stuff and the pit stop. He had a little bit of issues there, but I mean, the guy is running really, really well, and obviously Haas factory team, they were running well. They have an alliance now, and I talked to him after the race. He's like, the expectations have changed. I want to be running up front. We have the best cars that I have ever had, and honestly, good for you, Jeremy. I'm gonna pour one out for you, my friend. Good on you, brother.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, my wife has her college class at our house, so I'm actually at my mother's house in my office right now. So unfortunately, I did not bring my tequila bottle. So I'm just gonna have. Unfortunately, I'm just drinking water. But you know,
who doesn't keep a bottle of tequila at their mom's house? What?
This guy does this every week. Where is your pocket bottle of tequila, Brian?
I took a shot last week.
On the way home.
Yeah, see? Yeah. Oh, stop it, Dalton. Before we let Doug go, once again, PRN is going to be broadcasting this week's races in Las Vegas. You've got the O'Reilly Auto Parts Series and then the NASCAR Cup Series. And then once again, Doug has his podcast. You can find that on the PRN website. Doug, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, my friend. And we'll have you on actually before the playoffs now.
Hey, this technically was still before the playoffs. So, hey.
That's true.
No, the honor was mine, guys. Thanks for letting me hang out with you.
Love it. Michael, Dalton, are you guys going to be writing this week?
Yes.
Okay,
I have an interview
Michael.
with
Michael, what are you doing first?
Have an interview with Patrick Starpoli.
Oh, yeah.
You can catch on the Bring the Heat podcast hosted by Trey Lyle. And it's also, I'll do a written form of it on frontstretch.com as well. Patrick, let me tell you about Patrick is, I think he got a lot of hate coming into this year just because a bigger check cleared and he got that ride and Nick Sanchez kind of lost the ride. So it's one of those things where you kind of don't want to like the guy going in. He was amazing, just an amazing guy to talk to. So down to earth and just really likable. So just check out that interview. It's really good stuff.
Also, has got one of the best PR guys out there in Paul Williams. Shout out Paul. We love Paul. Dalton, what about you? Are you going to be writing Thinking Out Loud?
I will be. I'll be writing Thinking Out Loud this week, so be on the lookout for that. It'll be shortly after the end of the Las Vegas race this Sunday. So finally back to writing that thing.
Which leads me to, I will be in Las Vegas. Myself and Kevin Nix will be on the ground reporting for you guys there. It's going to be hot, so if you are going there, please make sure to drink plenty of water. High at 92 on Saturday, high at 91 on Sunday. It is going to be hot.
Or if you're cool,
Yeah.
like Massey and I. If you're not a nerd,
Do not hydrate
water
with alcohol.
Please do not
please,
hydrate with
fans.
that.
Do not
That
hydrate
would-
with alcohol.
No.
Get hydrated and then have your alcohol.
please drink
There
water.
you
Do not
go.
listen to us. Please
Yes.
drink water.
It could be an incredible race with the hot temperature. So once again, stay tuned to all of our socials at Frontstretch and at the Brian Owen. Coming up next, like Mr. Michael Massey said, bringing the heat with Trey Lyle. It should be a fun one. You can find that Thursday on the Frontstretch Podcast Network. Big thanks to Chris Graham. Big thanks to everybody that supports us. For Doug Turnbull, Dalton Hopkins, Michael Massey, I am Brian Owen. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll talk with you next week for another edition of the Frontstretch Happy Hour Show. Michael, one last thing?
No, I was just saying bye to everybody.
Oh, okay. Bye, guys.
Sorry.